You know that smell? That earthy, fresh, almost electric scent that fills the air right after it rains. Yeah, that one. The smell that makes you want to open all your windows and just breathe it in. We all recognize it instantly. But here's the wild part. That smell you're breathing in? It's older than dinosaurs. I'm not exaggerating. The chemical responsible for that scent has been around for billions of years, and it's connected to some of the oldest life forms on Earth. So today, we're diving deep into one of nature's most mysterious and beautiful phenomena. We're going to uncover why rain has a smell, what's actually happening when you detect it, and why your nose is so ridiculously good at picking it up. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never experience a rainstorm the same way again. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first. What are we actually smelling when it rains? Because, spoiler alert, it's not the rain itself. Water is odorless. So what's going on? The smell we associate with rain actually has a name, and it's kind of poetic. It's called petrichor. And yes, that sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but it's real science. The word petrichor comes from Greek, petra meaning stone, and ichor, which in Greek mythology was the fluid that flowed through the veins of the gods. So essentially, we're talking about the essence of stone. Pretty cool, right? Petrichor was actually coined by two Australian scientists back in 1964, Isabel Baer and Richard Thomas. They were studying the smells released from dry rocks and soil when they came into contact with moisture. What they discovered was fascinating. During dry periods, plants release oils that get absorbed into soil and rocks. When rain finally falls, these oils are released into the air, along with another compound we'll talk about in just a second. That combination creates the signature scent of rain. But here's where it gets really interesting. There's a specific chemical that's the star of the show here, and it's called geosmin. And geosmin, it's ancient, like really, really ancient. If you've been curious about how science works in everyday life, and you want to explore more amazing phenomena like this yourself, check the description below to download our ebook with 50 amazing DIY science experiments and fun facts. It's packed with hands-on activities about chemistry, weather, nature, and so much more. Perfect if you love discovering how the world works. So let's talk about geosmin. This molecule is produced by a bacteria called actinomycetes, specifically a type called These bacteria live in soil all over the world. They're everywhere. And when the soil gets wet after being dry, these bacteria release geosmin into the air. Now here's the mind-blowing part. Actinomycetes are some of the oldest living organisms on the planet. We're talking about microbes that have been around for over 3 billion years. That means they existed long before plants, long before animals, and yes, long before dinosaurs ever walked the earth. Dinosaurs showed up around 230 million years ago. These bacteria, they predate them by billions of years. So when you smell that rain, you're literally smelling a chemical signature that's been part of Earth's ecosystem since the dawn of complex life. You're experiencing something that creatures from unimaginable stretches of time also experienced. That T-Rex that lived 66 million years ago, it smelled the same thing after a storm. That early mammal hiding in a burrow 200 million years ago, same smell. It's a direct sensory connection to deep time. And geosmin doesn't just appear when it rains. It's also responsible for that earthy smell you notice when you're gardening or walking through a forest. It's the scent of life in the soil. All right, so we've got these ancient bacteria releasing geosmin into wet soil. But how does that smell actually reach your nose? Because it's not like the chemical just floats up on its own, right? Well, this is where physics comes into play, and it's actually pretty elegant. When raindrops hit the ground, especially porous surfaces like soil or pavement, they trap tiny air bubbles. These bubbles then burst and release aerosols, tiny particles that carry geosmin and other organic compounds into the air. It's like nature's own diffuser. This process is super efficient. A single raindrop can release hundreds of aerosol particles, and they can travel significant distances on the wind. That's why you can often smell rain before it even reaches you. You're detecting those aerosols floating ahead of the storm. There's also another smell associated with rain, especially during thunderstorms, and that's ozone. You know that sharp, clean, almost metallic scent? That's ozone, which is oxygen with 3 atoms instead of the usual 2. Lightning splits oxygen molecules in the air, and some of them recombine into ozone, so that fresh electric smell during a storm. That's ozone mixing with petrichor. Now here's where it gets even more fascinating. Humans are absurdly good at detecting geosmin, like we're talking superhuman levels of sensitivity here. Studies have shown that the human nose can detect geosmin at concentrations as low as 5 parts per trillion. To put that in perspective, that's like detecting a single drop of the substance in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. That is an insane level of sensitivity. But why? Why would evolution give us such a powerful ability to smell this one specific chemical? There are a few theories, and they all relate to survival. One theory suggests that our ancestors relied on the smell of rain to find water. In arid or semi-arid environments, being able to detect incoming rain from a distance would have been a huge survival advantage. You could find fresh water sources, know when to plant crops, or simply prepare for changing weather conditions. Another theory is about food. Remember, geosmin is produced by soil bacteria. These same bacteria are often found near areas rich in edible plants and root vegetables. So the smell of geosmin might have signaled fertile ground, a place where food could be found. Our ancestors who were better at detecting this smell may have been better at finding food, and therefore more likely to survive and pass on their genes. There's also a fascinating connection to disease avoidance. Some research suggests that being sensitive to geosmin could help humans avoid contaminated water. Certain types of bacteria and algae that produce geosmin also indicate water that might not be safe to drink, so that earthy smell could be a warning signal. Whatever the exact reason, the fact remains, we are hardwired to notice this smell. It's built into our biology at a fundamental level. But it's not just about detection. There's something else going on with rain smell. It affects us emotionally, and the science backs this up. Multiple studies have shown that the smell of petrichor and geosmin can trigger positive emotional responses. People report feeling calmer, happier, and more relaxed when they smell rain. There's even research suggesting it can reduce stress and anxiety. Why? Well, part of it is probably nostalgia. Smells are incredibly powerful triggers for memory. The olfactory bulb, the part of your brain that processes smell, is directly connected to the hippocampus and amygdala, the regions responsible for memory and emotion. That's why a single scent can instantly transport you back to a specific moment in your childhood. For many people, the smell of rain is associated with positive memories. Maybe it reminds you of playing outside as a kid, or cozy days spent indoors, or the relief of a hot summer day finally cooling down. Those associations create positive emotional responses. But there might be something deeper too. Remember that evolutionary connection. If our ancestors associated the smell of rain with water, food, and survival, then maybe we're still carrying that positive association in our DNA. The smell of rain might trigger a primal sense of safety and abundance. There's also the simple fact that rain often brings relief. It cools things down, cleans the air, and nourishes the earth. It's a reset button for the environment, so it makes sense that we'd feel good about it. Before we wrap up, I want to share a few more surprising facts about rain smell that I think you'll love. First, not all rain smells the same. The intensity and character of petrichor depends on how long the soil has been dry, what type of plants are in the area, and even the temperature. A light spring rain after a mild dry spell smells different from a heavy summer storm after weeks of drought. You're basically smelling the unique chemical signature of that specific place and time. Second, geosmin is also found in certain foods, especially beets and freshwater fish. Ever notice that earthy taste in beets? That's geosmin. Some people love it, others hate it. Turns out, there's a genetic component to how we perceive that flavor. Third, the smell of rain has inspired perfumers for centuries. There are entire fragrances designed to capture petrichor. It's considered one of the most universally appealing scents in the world. And finally, here's a really cool one. Scientists are studying geosmin and actinomycetes because these bacteria produce compounds that have medical value. In fact, more than half of all antibiotics used today come from Streptomyces bacteria. The same ancient organisms that give rain its smell are also helping save lives. How incredible is that? So there you have it. The smell of rain isn't just a pleasant sensory experience. It's a chemical conversation between ancient bacteria, the Earth's atmosphere, and your incredibly sensitive nose. It's a link to billions of years of evolutionary history. It's a signal that helped our ancestors survive. And it's a reminder of how deeply connected we are to the natural world. The next time you step outside after a rainstorm and take that deep breath, remember, you're not just smelling water hitting the ground. You're smelling time itself. You're experiencing something older than dinosaurs, older than forests, older than almost anything else on this planet. And somehow, your brain knows exactly what it is. That's the power of science. It takes something simple, something we experience all the time, and reveals the extraordinary story hidden beneath. And honestly, that makes the smell of rain even more beautiful. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the science of everyday phenomena, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. Drop a comment and let me know what you want me to explore next. And seriously, check out that ebook in the description if you want to keep exploring science on your own. Thanks for watching. Now go outside and smell some rain. You'll never take it for granted again.